Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks here to bring you a box opening and
Hey,
a second box.
hey.
What are we doing with this second box? It's the last box of the case. David asked us to double down on his fable and cook this box for a year. So we're going to do it. It worked very well last time, so I hope it works again this time. We shall see.
We already pulled some spice earlier.
We did.
Oh.
So, but who knows? What if this is a God box?
It could be.
What if
I opened
we
my
open
God
this a
box.
year from now and there's like 17 legendaries in the one box?
I already opened my God case, so.
Yeah, exactly. All right, it's officially taped for 1 year. This will go on the shelf and be safely stored for David's future unveiling. And it's a year
I love
from
it.
release date, which is what I think he requested, but that's what we're doing.
Yeah. That seems fair.
Yeah.
It's just like, what effect has Outsiders had a year after?
Yeah, I mean, I really actually just, if we hadn't have even pulled the Fable, I enjoyed that experiment. You know what I mean? Like looking at it a year later and being like,
Yeah,
wow,
with Everfest,
wow,
yeah.
Everfest. You know what I mean? Like just, oh, I forgot what it's like to open these and, all that stuff. So, yeah, it's a good trick. I like it. Thanks, David.
Yeah, it's
Thanks
fun.
for being an awesome patron. Long time
We
supporter.
appreciate you.
We do a lot. You ready to get into it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so at David's request, he wanted us to talk about some crazy stuff. Last time we talked about sexy time crystals because that's how Tommy takes it.
Sexy time crystals. I found them, did not order them.
That's probably for the better. Who knows what your ads would look like after ordering that?
Yeah. I talked to my wife about it, and she was like, what?
I imagine. Today we're going to go back to old conversation and tie it to modern technology. There was a conversation way back that got some pretty interested remarks about the three pillars of civilization being, finance, information, and energy, and how empires shift whenever one of those things change, and things are changing rapidly now, etc. I think what's the best conversation piece on this is ChatGPT, because we are literally seeing it impact everything in my space. I invest in early stage tech companies for a living, and everyone is losing their mind over it. The chair of our board is basically, he freaked out on our last little committee meeting and was like, we need to look at this in regards to every company that we invest in. We have a ton of companies. So let's break into it. Tommy, what do you think about ChatGPT and the civilization?
So I can actually talk to that.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Yeah, because it's been brought up. I work in the mortgage broker world, in the marketing section, and it is all the rave for the brokers.
I killed Tommy with this card.
It was rude. I was so close. I was one resource away from winning that game.
That was so funny. Yeah, that part was,
I was
sad.
so
That part
salty.
was sad.
I was so salty because the threadbare tunic was that resource.
Yeah.
But the card was in my hand and not in Arsenal.
Yeah,
and I
you
forgot
had
that. And won't make that mistake again.
Yep, you learned a valuable lesson about the tunic.
Yeah, that it is threadbare indeed when wanting to present resources.
Anyway, sorry, you were talking about
Very
ChatGPT.
good card. Very good card.
Yeah,
I just misplayed.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
ChatGPT and mortgage.
Is people are using it to, I can see it
Gorgeous art.
like for underwriting and a bunch of other things.
Yep,
That can just be done through that somehow.
probably.
So
At least
I've
a lot
been
of the
tasked
legal
with
stuff.
looking into it. Yeah.
You've been
so-
tasked to look into it, huh?
Yeah, kind of indirectly.
I have been looking into it significantly for my own purposes. Ooh, Foil Majestic Conceal Blade.
Nice.
I'm curious who this is. See these little, it looks like implants. Do you see
Move it
that?
a little closer. Can I see it? A little closer.
Oh,
Closer. Okay.
that's as close as I can get with
It
that.
does look like, it does
Implants,
look
right?
a little
Doesn't it?
cyber enhanced.
Yeah, and it looks like they're pulling the blade out of their arm, like
Yeah.
their hand there,
Yeah.
and it's called Concealed Blade. Is there robots from Metrics, like crazy murder robots? Well, regardless, that's a foil
I know.
imp. So
What's the flavor text?
Always pack the right tools for the job. A QO Spider operative. Oh, works for Spider.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. A QO. I want to see a QO. That's probably an assassin. So, ChatGPT is going to transform just about everything. Today, I asked it, here, let me pull up the window because I actually have it in front of me. I said, write me some code to dynamically balance a client's portfolio using Python based on VIX, gold, and yield curve behavior. And it sent me a script back in Python.
That's pretty sick.
Easy to implement. Obviously, it's rudimentary, but it gave me the framework to work off of. So I was able to then work with it, change it, and it did all the basic functionality that I wanted it to. And it took 2 seconds.
Would you relate this form of information being one of the pillars of civilization?
Yep.
Would you compare this to Google being brought around?
I think I would actually compare it to the internet being created.
Okay.
I think it's that big of an impact because unlike Google, which did impact a lot, the internet impacted everything and is still increasing its impact. You know what I mean? Because it took a while for people to digitize, took a while for people to get online, took a while for everyone to have a website, blah, 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 blah. But it's continuing and more devices are on the internet. More and more things are connected to it. It's just constantly increasing, even still. Whereas what you're seeing, concealed blade, non-foil.
Hey.
Ooh, I like the way that looks. Yellow Fletch.
Mm-hmm. The Fletches? Yeah. I like all
good.
the Fletch rainbows, yeah.
Yeah, and I love the fact there's 3 different arts. We said that forever ago, and I was like, that should be a thing they do, and they did it. I'm so excited.
And then they did.
So I think this is going to first be the easy cases like writing text, writing legal, writing this, writing that, right?
Sure.
And then slowly transform into things like rewrite this machine learning code to do something more significant than what it currently does. You know, you describe it obviously. Because it is already usable for people that are programming. That already exists.
Right.
And so, but what it's going to lead to is the ability to rewrite itself. Like you can use the code that it's written in and ask it to rewrite parts of its own code. And then you can automate that. And that leads to very quick development of new technologies, theoretically. Now, ChatGPT is mostly a language thing. Let's get clear here. It's a language platform, but what it can do is identify the patterns of behavior and opportunities of similarity between different things. So, for example, it can look at all machine learning platforms and decide, hey, this sort of model programming style, whatever, data system is more efficient for this purpose, and it can repurpose it, which is what it does when you ask it to write something. It goes and looks at all the examples and then finds the thing that makes the most sense for what it's doing based on language probabilities. The thing that's interesting is it starts to teach us about ourselves. If you look at language, which is information, everything is defined as language. And what it's found is a way to find other parts of language we aren't currently using or would want to use in place of what we're doing. I know that's pretty abstract, but that's essentially what it does. It's not smart. Like, it doesn't understand this code. It just knows that whenever someone's doing something related to portfolio balancing in Python around VIX, gold, and yield curve, this is the code that they tend to use. And it pulled it from a million different sources because there's a million things on the internet about this concept because people do it. And so because of that, it was able to write code that's going to be 90% there. And it's just because it knows what's likely to be the next use of word when you're trying to achieve a specific goal.
Right.
And what it boils down to is everything in human society, all of our math and science and coding and whatever is essentially just language. It's using the same general core principles, and that's what this thing knows how to do. Information. One of the key tenets to civilization, and now it's going to change forever because it will be quickly accessible. All the consolidated information and creativity of history is derivative, right, of something that came before it. And so you're gonna,
Hey,
yeah, this is a good card. You've hit a lot of these, didn't we hit one in the last box too?
pretty sure we did.
Yeah. David, crushing it. And so what you're seeing is, all information is going to be easily available that's created and connected to the internet going forward to everyone, because this thing is going to be relatively cheap to do. And you want to hear something that's crazy about ChatGPT? This is one of the reasons my board member was freaking out. And it's funny, I actually proposed something to my CEO about 4 or 5 months ago, and he was like, "Oh, well, maybe we'll look at it, maybe we'll think about it, blah blah blah." And then the chair of our board says, "We have to do this. It's crazy. You don't understand," and basically explained it. And then my CEO's running around like, "Hey, we have to do this," which I thought was pretty funny. I was like, I was only 4 months ahead of the chair of our board.
Only.
But it's something that's crazy about it is that it is the fastest adoption of any technology in the history of humankind.
Do you think that's because of the internet?
Yes, and I think it's also from its utility. So it's accessibility and utility.
Yeah, the universal utility.
Yep.
And with the building off, like you said, building off the back of the internet.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's what made it happen. Did you see that? That was 2 packs with only 1 rare. How sad. Those are sad packs.
It happens.
It does.
But so that catapults the information.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that means that finance and industry will follow. Industry, I can see being pretty straightforward in that every industry adapts. Many jobs are lost and we enter a recession.
Well, yeah. There will be job variation that happens, because you got to think about it. It's twofold. It's a double-edged blade here. Everyone who writes reports for a living, basically their job's now under threat, because you only need 1 out of 10 of them anymore to write a report, because this thing writes the report for you for the most part. But it also says anyone that has any vague knowledge or creativity can do more than they ever could. I am at best a very mediocre coder, but I know what I want it to code, and I know how to take what it gives me and edit it. Therefore, by talking to this thing, I now have access to the ability to code well beyond my capability normally and by default. So it speeds up my ability to create new software way faster, way better, across the board. It's just easier. And so you got this shift that happens, and it's like, I won't waste my time writing reports. Instead, I'm going to be able to write code that other people that are really good coders could have done it kind of at the same speed that I'm going to be able to do it now. But now it's more people are able to do it. So it just like skills up the entire species of humans. So it's like, if you aren't creative or you aren't able to write code at all, now you can write code. If you're okay at code, now you can write more advanced code. If you're very, very good at code, it will speed up your ability to write good code. It's like, it just levels up everyone. And it does disrupt the world and change things. That's pretty cool. Widowmaker in foil.
Yeah, I do like that card. It's underrated. People don't like it, but I like it.
They don't like it. Why?
Because they think it's just, people just, their answer, every time I hear it being called a bad card, it's like, oh, you just block it. It's like, yeah, but then you have the functionality of you now ripped cards out of their hands.
Yeah, I was going to say, you force cards out, which is... Now, remember, this is a freaking draft set, so...
Yeah.
I didn't even know Cyclone Roundhouse Kick was a Majestic.
Yeah.
Oops, that's the foil one.
Yeah, I had that in my draft,
Cold,
but I wasn't able to get it off.
Seems hard. Spinning wheel kick isn't the beginner. It's like the end of it.
Be like water doesn't transform into the card it needs to.
No. That's a shame. So yeah.
If it did, then I would have pulled it off a couple times.
I think we're at that phase of reality where we're about to. There's your favorite card there, Tommy.
Oh, it haunts me.
It haunts me. It haunts me. What he didn't tell you about that match is I still had 7 life and 4 cards in hand that I could have blocked 3. All I needed was 1 resource to kill him. So it was fine. I had him. Even if you got his resources right, I'm pretty sure I had you. Although it is Benji. Benji's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, he's difficult. So from what I've been thinking he's more of a fallback. So you take the yellows and blue generics, and then the blue with 0 pitch. Start early, see what you like, see what you can find, and then after pack 1, you can fall back to Benji if you take those early picks.
They made up for it. That was a triple rare pack.
Hey, there you go.
I haven't found the cold foil yet. What in the world? I guess with the Marvel, they might say balanced. I don't know.
I don't know. People don't always buy by the case.
Oof.
Hey, Codex of Frail. Blood Rat.
Yeah. Get down to the wire here. Anything else you want to say? 4?
So we talked about finance briefly, but how do you think?
Energy.
You think
that's the third pillar, energy.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the same way it already does. It gives more people the ability to analyze things in ways that will then impact energy. I mean, if you think about it right now, energy is, handled a lot through markets. Markets will now be transformed because you'll be able to do market stuff faster, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it'll only tangentially affect energy, but what ends up always happening with these things, and I think I talked about this in that video forever ago, is that while one thing will be the start of it, and whatever empire is able, or future empire is able to adapt fastest, will inevitably overtake the other. And when they overtake other, they're able to set their own policies around the other things and put them in place, which tend to be more future minded. So it could just lead to things like, we need bigger data centers to have more of these machine learning models out there. I think they're called large language models, LLMs, out there, which means we need massive data centers, which means we need a lot more energy. Oil's not going to do it. We're going to have, super renewables, because we can't burn all the oil just to keep the data centers running. You know what I mean? So that is probably what it will be, is like some country, somebody will be vestedly interested in keeping this functioning. Ooh, another foil M. God, nice. David, you got all the luck.
That's a playable. That
is a playable. Got all
those new Ranger decks.
So that's what I think will happen. I mean, we'll see. I don't predict the future perfectly, that's for sure. But that tends to be the history of it, is whoever rises with the new tools ends up having some dominant say in how the other axis of civilization play out in the world. And because they're dominant, people tend to follow suit.
Do you see governments trying to regulate it?
If they do, it would fail. Maybe regulate the creation of new models. That's something that's possible.
Because, I mean, this really could have serious ramifications to the job market.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it will. But like I said, it's double-edged. Like, all those people that just got fired from tech jobs, they're using this to create the next generation of startups. I guarantee you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you're going to have multiple things. And again, the person that's never felt brave enough to code before can literally go on here and say, I want to write some code that does this. And this is the thing that's really cool about it. It's that smart. If you don't really know what you're doing and it's not really working, you can say, this is the error I got. What am I doing wrong? And it tries to tell you how to fix it. And so it can help you get to that level where you can functionally be a programmer. Not like a great programmer, but it's better than not being able to program at all. Oh, okay. I was like, why is there equipment here? It was so confusing. All right, where's the cold foil? No cold foil box.
Double check.
Yeah, I need to. It would only be in these ones, right?
Possibly.
I'm pretty sure that's the slot is back here. It is possible to have a no cold foil box. It is a thing. But I was rambling while opening packs. And Tommy's not even watching.
I am watching.
I'm messing with you. I think it's a no.
Wait, did I see one?
No. Nah, I have my light on. Like, I can tell if I'm looking at it. I'm sure the camera's not the easiest to see. Yeah, it's a no cold foil pack. Wow.
Interesting.
Well, you did get the Marvel, so maybe that counts.
Got the Marvel, got the Premeditate. 1, 2, 3, 6 Majestics, so higher than 5.
Yeah, 2 foil Majestics in there. And was it Did the Marvel pack also have like a cold foil common in it? I feel like it did. So it might have just shifted over a box or whatever. So
I don't know.
Or maybe they really ripped this one out specifically because the Fable's waiting in the box that we're cooking next year.
Could be.
We'll see. It's going to be Fable, 16 Majestics, 75 Legendaries. It's just how it's going to go.
Subscribe to the channel
So
if you
you
like
can
our
see that.
content. And then ring the bell so you get a notification this time next year when we open that box to find out. You'll also get notifications about all our other videos in between now and then.
Oops.
But, you know.
That too. All right, David, thank you as always for being an amazing patron. This stuff, I will contact you now, and we'll send you all these cards or whichever of the cards you want, and make sure you get it all because, this is your stuff and it's coming your way. So I hope you enjoyed this case opening, and then we will, of course, do the last box next year around this time. Anything else you want to say?
Yes. If you are a long-term listener and have been around and listened to John's rambles about this information, finance, civilization stuff back then, leave a comment down below that says #I was there.
I was there. I was there when he hatched this plan. No, it's actually an old theory of mine. So cool. All right. Well, until next time, have a good one.
Have a good one.